Thanks for being part of the ANC movement to help people become more professional in network marketing. So let's talk about closing, the big picture about closing our prospects. When we get started, we don't know how people make a decision. And this is critical. So if you were to talk to me early in my career, you'd say, so Big Al, what do you do for a living? And I go, well, I'm in a global search for entrepreneurial talent for time freedom and financial freedom, whereby they can enhance their efforts through multiple streams of residual income, thereby leveraging their residual. Well, when people ask me that, and I had that answer, their eyes would roll to the back of their head, and guess what? I wouldn't have any prospects. But I didn't really know what I did for a living. So people kept asking me this. I kept being embarrassed. So finally, I would just change the subject and say, oh, look, there's Superman, and just hope they went away. Well, this wasn't getting me anywhere because I didn't have anybody to talk to. So if somebody asks you what you do for a living and you don't know, it's going to look pretty bad. So you're at a party and somebody says, what do you do for a living? I'm not really sure. They're going to feel sorry for us. So what do we do for a living? Well, when I ask people, they say, well, I give presentations to, wait a minute, how much do you get paid for every presentation? Nothing. How much do you get paid for people who say no? No bonus on that either. How much do you get paid for calling 100 people asking for an appointment and nobody wants to set an appointment? Pretty much zero. How much do we get paid for somebody says, I want to think it over? Well, not much. So it appears to me that the only thing we get paid for is getting people to make a yes decision. And that's what closing is all about. The only thing you and I get paid for is if people make a decision to become a customer or a team member. That's it. You go, wow, never looked at it that way. But yeah, the only thing the company wants us to do is the only thing they can't do, and that is getting people to say yes. You see, the company, they have a presentation online or a website, and they have lawyers that take care of the government, and they have researchers. And if you're nutrition, they have people picking herbs underneath rocks in China at midnight with leprechauns, and they have customer service, and they have billing. And the company does all these things. The company can actually probably ship or take care of people almost directly. So the company doesn't need us. The only thing the company needs us for is the only thing they can't do, which is get people to say yes. So the company makes this partnership. The company says, hey guys, here's the deal. We will do everything. All we want you to do as part of our partnership is get people to say yes. So you and I have the best deal ever in the history of business. The companies do everything, and they can do it well. All we have to do is get people to say, yes, I want to be a team member, or I want to be a customer. That's it. So here's the bottom line. You and I are in the yes decision business. So let's go back to that party. Somebody asked me, so Big Al, what do you do for a living? And I said, well, I'm in the yes decision business. I get people to say yes. And then they say, so great, that's interesting, Big Al. So how do people make decisions? And I go, oh, I don't know. They're going to look at me and say, something wrong with you? And I'm going to be embarrassed. But think about this. When I got started, I didn't know my job was to get people to make yes decisions. That's our only job we have to do. And number two, if I knew that was my job, I didn't have a clue how humans made decisions. So if you're brand new, you might be thinking, well, how do humans make decisions? I think I better know if I'm going to do this for a business. So ask 100 people. We'll go to the company convention, ask 100 of the distributors. So how do people make decisions? And you're going to hear some really made up theories. Things like, well, they wait for little voices to talk in their ears. Or maybe they wait for lightning to strike. Or 15,000 reasons for and 14,000 reasons against. or some sort of emotional decision, or it's hormonal, or it's people just make stuff up. And you know what? If they're going to make stuff up, it's not going to work very good. So what we need to do is, you and I, learn exactly how the human mind makes a decision. Because if we know, gee, chances are we'll make better choices on how we talk to people and what we do. So got your pencil and paper ready? Let's go to work. So we need to learn a couple rules about the human mind. Now, these rules are counterintuitive. We're not going to like them. We don't want to believe them. We're going to fight against it with every bit of consonant, or with all the dissonance of our brain. We don't like to change, but we're going to have to if we're going to do this for a living. So here are two quick rules. Rule number one: the human mind makes decisions instantly, like right away. Rule number two: the human mind makes decisions on zero information. All right, so right now you'll probably be thinking, this isn't good. I don't believe this. How can this possibly be true? This is crazy talk. Because I was always taught that, well, if you want to get somebody to make a decision, you try to call for an appointment and say, can I have 30 minutes of your time? I got to show you something. I'm going to show you a company video and some PowerPoint slides. You got to listen to these testimonials. I'm going to show you a compensation plan of all these figures and math that you probably don't understand. And then at the end of 30 minutes, I'm going to ask you if you want to join or not. Well, that's how I thought it worked. And that's what I did in the beginning. And you know what? It was hard. It was difficult because nobody wanted to do it. So just think about this. When you call for an appointment, what do you think they're going to say? You say, I just need 30 minutes of your time. They say, well, tell me about it first. In other words, they're telling us, we would like to make a yes or no decision before we donate 30 minutes of our valuable time to listening to your commercial. We'd rather be watching cat videos or being with the family or doing anything. So before we allocate 30 minutes of our time, we want to make a yes or no decision first. So if you have trouble getting appointments, this could be why. Because we didn't know that they want to make a decision first. But this all sounds like crazy talk. So let's take a look at real life. So instead of worrying about our minds' programs, let's just look at the hardcore data in real life. So let's see how quick humans make decisions. I'm going to say, can I take your children skydiving with me? Now, did you feel it? How quick was the decision in your mind? When I asked you, can I take your children skydiving with me? How long did it take? Instantly, your mind says yes or no. It says, yes, you can take them. I'll help push. Those little rugrats are irritating me. Or you might say, oh, no, yeah, you can't take my babies. But we made an instant, immediate decision before the details, before the information. We had that feeling inside, that decision, before you found out if I'm a certified skydiver or not, if I'm successful 3 out of 4 times, if we're only going to skydive 2 centimeters. We made the decision before any of that information happened, before I show you the company video, before I show you slides of airplanes. No, we made the instant decision right away and say, gee, that's kind of strange, but you're right. I did make that decision. So let's try this. Let's say there's no COVID and everybody's there at the big convention center, and Pilly gets up on the podium and Pilly says, when this convention's over, Big Al and I are going to the ice cream place and we're going to eat ice cream. Who wants to come with us? Half the people raise their hands and half the people don't. Half the people go, yeah, I'm all for it. And half the people are saying, no, I'm lactose intolerant. I really can't handle milk products very good. And I have a babysitter at home. I got to get home. But how fast was that decision? It was right away, wasn't it? And we made that decision before we found out even the location of the ice cream place. Before we found out how many flavors of ice cream they had. Before we found out if Pilly's going to pay for everybody or everybody had to pay for their own. We made the decision before the details. We're going to have to change our mind on this. So we're going to need a lot of examples for us and for our team to get them to change their mind from the old way of thinking, what doesn't work, to the new way, which is people make decisions first. So let's try this. Let's say you come home and you're just really, really tired. You sit in front of the TV with the remote control. And ladies, you've seen a man do this. They take the remote control, click, 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 just go through channel after channel, just laying on the sofa, just totally tired. And you look at that and say, men are so stupid. They make their final decision whether they want to watch that TV show or not after just 1 second. Just looking at it and they're on to the next one. Men are idiots. But that's how quick we make a decision. Did you ever go on YouTube? How many seconds into a video before we make our final decision if we want to watch that video or not? 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and pretty soon we decide if it's going to be interesting to us or not. Just like that. So let's say that you and I want to go out and eat. So we go down, there's a bunch of restaurants, and we look around at different restaurants. And we go in this restaurant. And as we sit down, the waitress comes and says, here's some water, and here's the menu. The waitress comes back and says, you want an appetizer? Okay. And brings back the appetizer. And the waitress says, what would you like for your main course or your main meal? Okay, we'll do that. Then later the waitress comes back and says, man, you guys look like you could really use a dessert. So let me show you the dessert menu. So we order some dessert. She comes back. And then she comes back with the bill. Now, my question to you is this. In this whole scenario, at what point did we make a decision to eat at that restaurant? Wow. We made the decision before we even went inside the restaurant, before we saw the menu, before we tasted the food, before anything. Now, this should start feeling a little bit disturbing. Saying, wow, people make decisions first on no information. So let's just take a look at real life. If you're watching this now, have you ever been in a relationship or married? And ask people, how many people here entered a relationship or got married before you had all the information? Oh, wow. That's true. When you talk to your prospects, they're going to prejudge us and prejudge us harshly on no information. They're going to take a look at our microfacial expressions, listen to our first couple words. They're going to prejudge us and prejudge us harshly. And all of a sudden now we're starting to think, you know what? People do make a decision quickly. Let me show you what they don't do. Let's go to the supermarket. We're in aisle 4, got a shopping cart. We start walking down the aisle of the supermarket. We look to the left and we see a box of cornflakes. Cornflakes. What do we say? In our mind, we stop and say, oh, wait, cornflakes. I wonder if they have a company video. Tell me about the company founder. What was his background? Are the cornflakes natural, international, supernatural? Do they have any testimonials that I could look at? Have they won any awards lately? Is that what we think? I don't think so. We just look at the cornflakes and go, blah, I don't like cornflakes. And we go down that aisle saying, no, 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 no. Donuts, yes. No, 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 no. We make instant and immediate decisions on 4,000 items walking down that aisle like that. Now, if we didn't make instant decisions and we need a full presentation on every one of those items in the grocery store aisle, we would starve before we got to the end of the aisle. So it's good our mind does that. Now, why does our mind make these decisions really quick? And the reason is our conscious thinking mind, the part we use to think with, is really small. It can only handle one thought at a time. That's it. So we can't think of two things at the same time. It's just impossible. So our human mind says, well, I got a lot of stuff to think about, but I could only think of one thing at a time. So it's going to have to make a quick decision if they want to spend time thinking about this or move on to the next thing in the queue. Because there's hundreds or thousands of decisions we'd like to make and think about. They're all lined up. And then we come to them and say, by the way, put all those decisions on hold while I talk to you for 30 minutes. 30 minutes? They won't even give us 30 seconds. They want to make an instant decision, yes or no, and move on. And if the decision is yes, they're going to say, all right, the decision is yes. Okay, I can put them on hold. Give me some details now. And that's what keeps them from setting the appointment. So think about this. They want to make an instant yes or no decision before the details. Let me show you how that feels. I come to you and I say, I need to give you a presentation about Swiss watches. Let me tell you about the gearing mechanism inside and how they use special metals and how it has 150 years of history. And I have some testimonials, and you're thinking, I don't even want a Swiss watch. Please, I'm not going to give you an appointment. The answer has to be yes before I want the details. You don't want to listen to 30 minutes or an hour of details of a Swiss watch when you're not even interested. And they don't want to listen to 30 minutes or an hour of details about our products, our service, our business, unless they are already interested and made the yes decision. And you say, wow, never looked at it that way. So what can we do to influence this instant yes decision? Well, they're going to look at us and say, do you really believe it yourself? And they have the ability to look at our face and see if we're sincere or not. Humans have something called microfacial expressions. We can make up to about 25 or 30 poses per second on our face. Lift up this eye means something, or thin lips. So they look at our face, they listen to our words, they make up their mind instantly. They say, okay, if they're going to make up their mind instantly, well, that's some good and bad news. The bad news is your prospects are going to prejudge you and prejudge you harshly immediately before you had a chance to do much. But the good news is this. You only have to be good for the first 20 or 30 seconds. Your first 20 or 30 seconds with a prospect where they make their final decision is going to be more important than the next 2 hours. All you and I have to do is learn how to manage the very beginning. Then everything else is easy. So you're thinking, you mean I don't have to give a perfect sales presentation? They don't even want to hear the sales presentation. If you want to talk about all the percentages and how the compensation plan works, here's a newsflash. The human mind can't do math. Math is something brand new in the last 10,000 years of human evolution. Math concepts in our head just don't really resonate with us. It's kind of vague. You don't even need math. All you need to do is get the first decision, and then they'll watch it, but don't worry too much about all the percentages, perfect presentation, or when to show the slide. That's all after the decision. So you say, okay, that sounds good. So how do I handle it in the beginning? Well, what do I do to get started? Well, get your pencil ready. If you finally believe by just looking at real life that people make decisions instantly based upon no information, you're taking your first baby step toward becoming a professional. Because this is why professionals do so well, because they can make decisions based upon this knowledge that helps them talk to people better. So I'll show you a little script here. Got your pencil ready? Let's go. You're going to start off by saying, before I show you how this works. Now, if we start off by saying, before I show you how this works, what are they thinking? Well, that means the sales presentation, because I hate sales presentations, isn't going to come until later. So I can lower my salesman alarm, my too good to be true filter, the what's the catch, be careful of salesmen, they're going to cheat you. I can lower all that stuff. I can say that till later because right now they're going to do something first. So we start off by saying, before I show you how this works, and you can see our prospect, relax. Before I show you how this works, let me tell you what happened to me. Let me tell you what happened to me. Now, when you say, let me tell you what happened to me, that signals in their mind that we're going to tell them a story. Now, do people have programs about stories in their mind? Yes. When we say stories, there's programs in their mind that tells them exactly what to do. And we got these programs from a long evolution of history. Here's the deal. Cavemen were sitting around a campfire at night, and they would tell stories of what happened. They say, today I was out there and I saw this big lizard dinosaur, and don't mess with them. They'll eat you. And all the other cavemen go, oh, yeah. And we learned that stories teach us something about the future. So we can learn something without having a bad experience. We can just listen to other people's stories. So we are programmed to survive. The number one program in the brain is to survive. So stories says, wait a minute, stories are important. You got to listen to the story because it may help you survive in the future. So as soon as we start telling a story, we have their total 100% attention. People are addicted to stories. If you're at work and you walk by three people, one's telling a story, what do we want to do? We want to listen in and see what the story's about. People love stories. That's why we love soap operas and drama shows and Netflix. People love stories. So when you say, before I show you how this works, attention levels go down. Let me tell you what happened to me. Stories are like a puppy dog waiting for a little treat. They just can't wait. And now you have their total 100% attention, and the little story you tell them can deliver your message. So if you haven't written down the words, do it now. Before I show you how this works, let me tell you what happened to me. And you can say, well, before I show you how this works, let me tell you what happened to Susan. But it's still a story. And then we tell them a little story. So let's use the vitamin example. Before I show you how these vitamins work, let me tell you what happened to me. And tell them what happened to you. Or in this case, you say, well, that's easy, but what about my grandmother? All right, before I show you how this works, let me tell you what happened to my grandmother. My grandmother says, I like to feel younger. I got her these vitamins. 5 days later, she took up karate classes and breakdancing. But anyway, let me tell you how these vitamins work. Well, what decision have they made already? You say, whoa, that was amazing. But you can say it about yourself. Before I show you how this works, let me tell you what happened to me. Every morning I'd wake up and I'd just be too tired. But now I find myself waking up even before my alarm goes off on my phone. And I just felt I should let everybody else know that they can feel younger too. But anyway, let me tell you how these vitamins work. So the decision happened earlier. Well, how about this? Before I show you how this works, let me tell you what happened to me. Every night before I went to bed, I said to myself, I wonder if my skin is going to wrinkle a little bit more when I sleep. But I started using this skincare cream, and my wrinkling isn't growing anymore. I finally stopped it, and I can stay young forever. But anyway, let me tell you how this cream works. Before I show you how this works, let me tell you what happened to me. I went to work, and the boss says there's no raises this year, and everybody has to work extra hours on Saturday. And I said to myself, you know what? I want to see my family. That's the reason I work, so I can have time with my family. I need to do something for myself. And that's why I started this business. But anyway, let me show you how this business works. Now, when we tell a story, it automatically goes into their mind. They can't help it. When we hear a story about somebody else, we see the story in our mind, but putting us in as the main character. The human mind does this automatically. You don't have to worry about it. And that's why when we go watch a movie like Pirates of the Caribbean, we like it because we feel like we're one of the pirates. We're in the movie. So when we tell the story about what happened to us or our grandmother, they see themselves experiencing that. And they will make an instant decision based upon that story, yes or no. And go, So all I have to do is have better stories. Yeah. And people desperately want stories. So here's just another technique of how to get people to make an instant decision. You could say one of your benefits and then ask them very quickly if they want to know more or not. Wouldn't that seem nice? Wouldn't you like it if people did that to you? They say, here's the benefit. Do you want to know more about it or not? And if we make a decision, yes, we want to know more, we've closed ourselves before we even went into the details. So let me give you a couple examples. You know those 10 kilos I was trying to lose? I finally got it off by just changing what I had for breakfast. Would you like to know how I did it? Yes or no? At that moment, they can make a decision. And all I said was, those 30 pounds or 10 kilos or whatever weight I want to lose, I can get rid of. And now I got rid of it just by changing what I had for breakfast. And they're thinking, wow, I wonder what you had for breakfast. Tell me more. And he said, would you like to know how he did it? And they said, yeah. They say, how about this? You know how women hate wrinkles? Yeah, women hate wrinkles. Well, my aunt decided that she's going to stop wrinkling and not wrinkle anymore. Would you like to know how she did it? Tell me now. Don't move. I want to know right now. Or, I have a neighbor named Joe. Every morning I go to work, he's out sitting in front of his house having a nice cup of iced coffee. He works from his home. Would you like to know how he does it? Yeah, tell me more. By having just a little bit of skill, we can get better results. We can participate in contests. We can become a sales leader. We can be rejection free and have the time of our life. So let me encourage you to do this. Every day, learn a little bit more, just one little new thing. And as we learn new things day after day after day, in time, we start accumulating and we see the world a new way. And we start seeing how closing works or how prospecting works or how icebreakers work or it's going to be so much fun. So thank you for taking the time to listen. Hope you have some good notes and good luck.